A very good evening and welcome to Weekend Dialogue. Tonight we are going to discuss about leadership, the development of people, their personality. For this we have got the right person in our studio. We have with us Mr. Deepal Surarachi, who is a corporate leader, a consultant and a people developer. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, first of all, now when it comes to developing people, this title about people developer, what is that all about? What is leadership? What makes a great leader?
Yeah. Now, when you think of motherhood, right, if you talk of motherhood, you think of the mother, of your mother and probably a few mothers that you think of. Similarly, when you talk of leadership, you think of leaders that you know. And leadership, I think, is the process by which leaders perform. And what do leaders do? Leaders get people to do things, right, which leader wants them to do, but the people who do things, they are doing it voluntarily. A great Chinese philosopher called Lao Tse has once said, after a target is achieved or a goal is achieved by a group of people under the guidance of a good leader, the team members would say, we did it. They will not talk about the leader. So the leadership is the ability to get people to move. Right? And today this is becoming increasingly important in the business sphere because now we have heard of managers. Right? You say, I just manage. You know? Managing means you manage things according to a set of rules. Now today the environment is changing so fast, you can't really manage with the rules of yesterday.
Right.
So you got to be futuristic. Right? You got to ready to change. Now there the leadership matters. Now interestingly, world over there's research to show that for example investors are increasingly looking at the quality of leadership in organizations when they are valuing those organizations, not necessarily the past results. Right? Whether the organizations have good leaders, not only the charismatic leaders, right? Whether the entire organization has this leadership as an organizational capability. So, for example, when Steve Jobs fell sick, the share price had, I think, a 10% drop. Now, that's a lot for a company of that size because they were depending on one charismatic leader.
Right.
But when Microsoft changed leadership, it didn't matter because it was more about leadership. So today, more and more we are looking at how can we develop people across the organization because the challenges are felt at every level of the organization.
Right. So now when you talk about leadership, I know that you always stress about the leadership code. What is this all about?
Thanks for asking that question. Now, I'm not the first person who asked that question, what makes a great leader? And you know, Dave Ulrich, he's like Philip Kotler to marketers. You know, he's a guru in HR area. And Norm Smallwood and Kate, they all sat together and asked a question, what makes a great leader? And they interviewed so many people and researched what has been done, and they came up with this concept of leadership code. I think the best way is to listen to Dave Ulrich himself and get that.
So in that case, yes, let's take a look at Dave Ulrich himself. Can we have the video?
Hi, I'm Dave Ulrich. I'm one of the 3 co-authors of the book Leadership Code. We appreciate your time in listening to these ideas and hope they're as helpful to you as they have been to us. We began the discussion of Leadership Code with a very simple question. What makes an effective leader? What a great question. We have to confess, we're not the first person to ask that question. In fact, when we got on Google and we Googled the term leader and leadership, we got 20 to 30 million hits. We're way down the line in asking that question. So we decided to do something a little different. Instead of coming up with a whole new theory of leadership, we wanted to look at what was out there and find out, are there some major common themes that we can synthesize and integrate that describes and answers the question, what makes an effective leader? So we used a methodology that was really, really simple. We went to about 15 or 20 people who are, we think, the thought leaders in leadership. These are folks who've written 4 or 5 books each. They've done Leadership 360s for 15 to 20 years. They're people you would probably know. I won't list them all for the embarrassment of missing some that we went to. But these are the best we know. We asked them how many 360s they've done in their careers. The sum of that was over 2 million. Then we asked them 2 questions. Question 1, what % of successful leadership in your experience is basically the same stuff? All leaders everywhere, top to bottom, big companies, small companies, publicly traded, privately held, global, domestic, what are the central core things that every leader everywhere must be able to know and do? When we asked the % of what that should be, what we found was a fascinating response. It ranged from 50 to 85%. Some said 50% is unique. Some said 15% is unique. Some said 50% is the same. Some said 85% is the same. Our take is 60 to 70%. 60 to 70% of what any leader anywhere has to know and do is the same basic stuff. Question 2, what is it? And these time our thought leader colleagues recommended their books. So we looked at their books. We looked at competency models from other firms. We combed the literature and we tried to say, what makes an effective leader? What is that core, common set of stuff that every leader everywhere has got to do? We called that the leadership code. The code is the basics, the code book, the absolute core of what leadership is about. As we did that research, we found there were 5 things. If you think 4 corners of a sheet of paper and then a middle circle, one corner of the sheet of paper is a leader has to be a strategist. If you want to be an effective leader, you have to have a point of view about where your unit is going. At the top of the company, that's the whole enterprise. In a functional unit, it's your function. In a team, in an organization, it's your team. But you have to have a position about where you want your organization to go as you go forward. Second is you have to be an executor. You have to be somebody who's able to get work done, who has accountability, discipline, and the ability to execute and make sure that things are done and done well. On the other corner of the sheet of paper is you have to be a talent manager. Leaders, by definition, work with people. They engage them, they connect with them, they work with them, they communicate with them, and they help people feel like they're part of a good team. At the top corner of the circle, the 4th piece, is you have to be a human capital developer. You have to be somebody who builds the next generation in the organization. You have to be able to map the workforce, create a firm brand, and figure out what the talent is that needs to be there in the future. 4 roles of leadership: strategist, where are we going? Executor, how do we get there? Talent manager, who goes with us? And human capital developer, who stays when we're gone. What we discovered is most leaders are predisposed to one of those 4. Most leaders kind of have a natural act. I like being a strategist and figuring out the future. I like being a talent manager and working with other people. I like being an executor and getting things done. But then what we discovered in the middle is that there's a core factor that every leader has to master. We call that personal proficiency. It's not a role, it's a set of personal competencies that allow you to be trusted by those you lead. Personal proficiency deals with insights about yourself, with your ability to know yourself, to learn, to have integrity, to have emotional intelligence, to exercise good judgment. That's it. We think there's a code book of leadership. A strategist, an executor, a talent manager, a human capital developer, and personal proficiency that allows you to connect with others. That's this book. It's actually a very simple book. If you want to be an effective leader, here's what you must know and what you must do. And you look at where your strengths are. And so as we drafted this book and we looked at this massive leadership work, we begin to identify 4, 5, or 6 things in each of those areas that will help you be a more effective leader. Now, one of the things that we think is always helpful is looking at the leadership mirror. How do I rank? How do I rate? So we've got a survey online. On that survey, you can score yourself and do a self-assessment. And even better, you can begin to get data from others. How do others see me as a strategist, an executor, a human capital developer, or a talent manager? And based on that information, I can begin to make changes and improve my leadership. The purpose of this book is very simple. If you want to be a more effective leader, this is what it takes. By the way, this is the basics. It's not the whole game, but it's the basics that you must do to lead effectively. And we will help you make that happen.
And so from that, I think now the highlight of this discussion should be this program that we heard you're organizing for executives based on this leadership code. If you can talk to us about it.
Okay, first let me tell how it is different from a normal program.
Right.
Instead of a one-off training session, this is going to be a leadership development program spread over time. Instead of a program that you will say at the end of, say, program was good, food was good, no, this is a program that will have direct links to the results of the business. And instead of a generic program where everything is for everybody in the class, this will be highly personalized. And there will be measurement of the progression before and after. And it is not just flavor of the month, but it is about from cutting edge thought leadership in the concept. So what we will do is, first we will expose the participants to a 360-degree assessment based on the leadership code.
Okay.
His superiors, peers and subordinates will give feedback how one is faring. And there will be a one-day workshop where they will learn how to prepare a personal leadership development plan.
Okay.
Then there will be 3 days of non-residential classroom learning where I will teach them how to use the leadership code aspects and to develop the leadership attributes in them. Now, parallel to this, they will have to take a business project from their company,
Okay.
which should be really a project that will add value to the business. And throughout the period of from October to November, I will be coaching them personally on the personal development plan and how they are implementing their project.
Right.
So end of November, they will come and present what they learned. So there will be a lot of follow-up and feedback to them. So that is why we call it a leadership program. It has three aspects. It is proven if you can combine coaching, real life experiences and teaching together, that is the best way to develop people.
Right.
So this program has all these 3 elements.
I think it's going to be a very comprehensive program in terms of leadership development. May I also ask, our viewers must be wondering how they could register for this program. Is there enough, registration? Do you encourage registration?
Yes, we will be taking on a limited number of people. There are few more seats available. This is offered through LAHES, LAHES, the Corporate Academy of Laughs Group.
Okay.
And you can make inquiries from that.
Right. Okay. So if you could also elaborate a little on how they could make inquiries, Mr. Surayarachi?
Can I give the phone number?
Yes, please.
Right. It is 5566 500 5566 500.
So it's 5566 500. You could contact the office, the registrations office, and get more details on this program. I think something else also I would like to ask you is, being a corporate leader yourself, you always stress on leadership development, people development. So in this point, how do you think our corporates, the local corporates, have given a prominence to this leadership aspect?
What is happening is there's a lot of leadership development, and but they are mostly on personal attributes of the leadership. But what is important is link the attributes needed to deliver the results. Right. Now, what are the results in different companies? So there should be focused on, for example, say if a company is competing, right, on price, that company should be very efficient. Compared to a company who is going to charge a premium price with very highly personalized service. Now, 2 different companies, 2 different strategies, the skills you need are different. The leaderships you need in 2 different companies are different. Now, time has come for companies to think, what are the specific leadership qualities that our leaders need to do?
So will this program address this?
This will be a generic one.
Okay.
Right. But there can be opportunities for companies to develop, in addition to the leadership code aspects, specific ones that will differentiate your leader from another leader.
Right. So I think on that note, it's time we wrap up. But thank you very much, Mr. Surayarachi, for joining us on Weekend Dialogue.
Thank you so much.
We had with us corporate leader consultant and people developer, Mr. Deepal Surya joining us on Weekend Dialogue. So if you need more information about the upcoming program, you could contact 5566 500. You could contact the office, the registrations office, and get more details on this program and register yourself. Thank you very much. After this break, I'll be back with Biz Roundup.